welcome back to my channel. There might be a glare on the screen, but just ignore it. I can't get rid of it. Today I will be talking about items that I have made for others, and specifically for the man in my life, I guess you could say. No, I typically make things for myself. The bulk of the items that I make is for myself, but I have been known from time to time to make items for others. So I'll be showcasing some of the things that I made for him over the years. So the first thing that I recall ever making for him was a pair of pajama pants. But we got rid of them years ago. But it was the first item that I ever made him, and it was actually a matching set. So I made a pair for myself as well from the same fabric. The fabric was, I think it was a poly, a very thin poly, and it was from light blue fabric with pink hearts. I don't think I made it for Valentine's Day or anything like that. It was just, for us to have a good laugh and to wear in the house. So that's the first thing that I made for him, a pair of pajama pants, and it was self-drafted. I didn't use a pattern. Then after that, I got the Strathcona Henley pattern from Thread Theory Designs or Pattern. It's a Canadian pattern company, and I got the Strathcona Henley pattern, and I made 2 Henleys. Now you might recall that the major characteristic of a Henley is the front placket. So I made the first one from the striped fabric, and I don't know if you can tell, but I love stripes. This is actually the Mandibo Tee by Tessuti Fabrics pattern. It's a free pattern, and I'm not sure what kind of fabric this is, but it has holes if you look closely. The fabric, yeah, it's pretty nice. I love it. Yeah, so I made him this Henley top, and the placket was made from some scrap fabric that I had lying about the place, and I think it works well. The cuffs are made from the same fabric, and the hemband also. Yeah, this is the first top that I ever made him. I also made another Henley, and it's here. I made it up in a brown cotton jersey fabric. Cuffs again, but these are super big. I don't remember what happened here. Was it me changing the pattern, or was this the original pattern? I don't remember. But yeah, the cuffs are super big here, but the hemband is regular size. And I made the placket this time from self fabric, and I used 3 buttons, and the buttons are a bit big, but I think they are what I had on hand at the time. I should mention how I finished the inside, because this is shortly after I had started sewing, and I did not finish the inside with an overlocker because I didn't have one at the time, so it's left raw. But as I know, cotton jersey doesn't fray, and I used fusible interfacing to stabilize the shoulder seam. So this is the second top that I made him. And I should mention that he doesn't wear these anymore. I don't wear this one, but I wear the stripes. Yeah, because they don't fit anymore. So the next thing that I made were, if you can believe it, work pants. So I made him pants, and he wears them. Well, he was wearing them up to the point that COVID basically kept us working from home. So he was wearing them to the office, and then COVID came in, and so started working from home. So he doesn't really wear them. He hasn't worn them for at least a year, but he was wearing them up to the time that COVID, the emergence of COVID. So it was my first time making dress pants, slant pockets, fly fronts, belt loops, welt pockets at the back. They're not perfect, but they're functional. Yeah. Oh, and I also lined the inside. So there's a half lining on the inside, which makes taking the pants off pretty easy. Yeah, there's a lining. Now it's a bit torn at the moment. I don't think he'll be wearing these going forward, because he did mention last year that they were a little snug, they were getting a little snug. So I'm not sure that it makes sense to change the lining on the inside, given that it's getting torn. But yeah, for future pants, I'll definitely include half lining like this. It goes up to the thigh, so maybe not half, but yeah, a lining. It really does help with getting the pants on and off. Big pockets for his big hands. I had an overlock at the time that I made this, but I must have been too lazy to change the color of the thread, so it's white. But nobody really sees the inside, although I do love pretty insides, so I'm not sure that I do this again. I definitely change the color of the thread. But yeah, just pants. So okay, so we've been joined by Little Miss here, so I put her to lay there for now. So next up is the Goldstream Peacoat by Thread Theory Patterns. So when I knew that we were gonna be moving internationally, I decided I'm gonna make coats for both of us. So I made a coat for myself from a Burda pattern, and I got the Goldstream Peacoat from Thread Theory Patterns. They're the same pattern makers for the Strathcona Henley, and here is the finished result. So the wool is a very heavy wool. One of the uses, based on the description on the website that I bought it from, said that it can be used to make historical garments. So it's quite thick, and I added thin sillet by 3M on the inside, so it's pretty thick and it's pretty warm, and then the lining hides the thin sillet. So there is a pocket on the inside here, and there are patch pockets on the front, which are lined with the lining fabric, and there's a hood which is also lined with lining fabric, and it also has the thin sillet on the inside. The hood is supposed to be detachable, but I ended up just basically adding buttons on the back and on the front to keep it in place. So the pattern calls for a detachable hood, but it's basically set in place by the buttons that are there. Yeah, so that's it. I don't remember all the tailoring methods I used. I know I used what's that? Gosh, I don't remember. But yeah, it was a lot of work to get this done. But I persevered, and here we are, fully functioning coat that he wears. He calls it his special coat, so he doesn't like to wear it like every day. He says he wears it on special occasions. I'll try to get a picture of him in it. But yeah, this is it. Goldstream Peacoat. Yep. It's a bit dusty from hanging in the closet, but yeah, that's it. Alright, so next up, it's a small item, but I made him a scarf from some fabric that I had lying around. It's a big scarf, and it's basically just a triangular piece of fabric sewn on itself and then turned out. So yeah, so I basically just put the right sides together, sewed it left a little hole for you to turn it out and then hand stitch the whole clothes. So yeah, it's a pretty warm scarf, and yeah, so he wears this with his coat sometimes. All right, next up, I made 2 Yukon button-ups by Peekaboo Patterns. The first one that I made was this short sleeve shirt here, short sleeve. So the pattern has 2 options. There's a short sleeve and there is the long sleeved option, and the first one that I made was the short sleeve. So pattern matching on it is pretty good. When you close the buttons up, it matches all the way across, and the patch pockets are cut on the bias. There are 2 pockets on the front. The inner yoke is cut on the bias, as is the outer yoke, and there is a pleat at the back here. So all in all, a good result. The pattern recommends 8 buttons, but I ended up doing 10 just because I thought it looked better, a button in each square. Yeah, I thought it looked better that way. For the insides, I actually did French seams, believe it or not, because I think French seams make everything so much neater on the inside. I could have overlocked it, but I just wanted a very clean inside, and the French seams did the trick. I know persons will say that why French seam something this thick, because it's a flannel fabric, but really it doesn't show on the outside that the seam is thick, you know. So I think you can get away with it when the fabric has a busy print. Yeah. So it has a collar stand, like I mentioned, a yoke, and I use the burrito method for the yoke. For the hem, I basically just, and this is according to the pattern, I basically just folded it up twice and stitched it down. Okay, so the next Yukon button up that I made him is actually the long sleeve version, and the placket is a tall placket, and I made it from fabric remaining from the previous Yukon, and the inner what's this again, the inner cuff is made from the same fabric, as well as the this part here. There's a button that holds everything together, but he has said that it probably could do with another button somewhere down here, but I was running short of buttons, so I'm gonna have to get a button that kind of matches this one here to put here. And these buttons I got from old shirts that he no longer wears, because I didn't have the right buttons in my stash. So again, collar stand, I cut the yoke on the bias, but the inner yoke is cut regularly because I didn't have enough fabric, and of course there's a pleat. Okay, so yeah, the pockets on the front are again cut on the bias, patch pockets, and there are 2 on the front. Here's the next one, and then for this one I actually used the recommended 8 buttons because I thought it worked. 8 buttons in the squares. So yeah, that's it. And again, this one is it has French seams on the inside, because why not? I love the look of French seams. So that's it. Okay, Okay, so the last item that I have to share is the Burdastyle Letterman jacket. The pattern number, I believe, is number 134 from September 2014. And I made it from a stretch, I think, jacquard fabric. So it has rib knit cuffs, and I had to double the rib knit because I felt it was just a little too thin for the heftiness of the jacket, because it's jacquard, and then the lining is satin backed lining. So it's like a, no, it's not, sorry, it's flannel backed satin lining. So it's a kind of thick lining, and then the fabric. So the overall result is a sort of hefty jacket. So I needed a rib knit that was just as hefty, so I doubled the rib knit that I bought, and I got the rib knit from a seller on Etsy. And I did the same for the collar. So this is basically two rib knit, and it's two layers. So I cut the collar 2 times and basically sewed it onto the garment. Again, rib knit, and the hemband is also doubled. So the overall result is a pretty thick hemband that goes with the thickness of the jacket. I should mention that the jacquard fabric is stretchy, and I didn't realize it at first. So when it came, I was wondering how I'd make it work, given that the satin lining doesn't have stretch, but it works out okay. I'm hoping that over time you don't have a case where the jacket is stretching out and the lining basically stays the same. But for now, it seems okay. I had some trouble setting in the sleeves. I'm hoping I can resolve that the next time that I make this jacket, because I do have another fabric without stretch that I'm gonna be using to make another one. So yeah, this is it. Inside looks pretty good. Yeah, I tried to be as neat as I could with the lining. I was hoping to use piping here, and then I forgot. I had gotten too far ahead when I remember the piping, and I just wasn't gonna unpick. So no piping, but for the next one I hope to add some piping where the lining meets the facing here. I did my best to get sharp 90-degree corners here, and yeah, the zipper I got from Fabricland, and it's a 28-inch zipper. I had to cut it just a tad at the top, and then I used a zipper replacement kit that I bought on YouTube to create a stopper here at the top. This is actually meant for the bottom of the zipper, but given how broad the zipper is, I couldn't find anything in the kit that could fit it, except for these stoppers here, so I use them on the top. It looks like a design feature. I was thinking that I would have needed to paint them black to match the ribbing, but it looks pretty good. It looks like a design feature when it's zipped up. So here it is, all zipped up for you to see what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking I would have painted them black, but they look pretty good as they are, so I've kept them that way. So yeah, so it's the Letterman jacket. Oh, I should mention that the welt pockets are non-functional. I actually sewed them closed because when I did everything, I realized that the pocket bags had gotten so small. So I didn't really follow the Burda instructions because they're just so cryptic. So I was actually going off a YouTube video and I sort of then kind of deviated to do my own thing and ended up with a pocket pattern, where the pocket bags were just too small when I sewed everything together. So I just had to close the pocket up, and the very short bags are hanging between the lining and the outer fabric. So this one is non-functional as well as this one here. So that's it. He seems to like it very much, so I'm gonna make him another one from another jacquard fabric that I made, a silver and black. And I think I'm gonna also make 2 more Yukon button-ups because I have the fabric already. I showed them in my previous video. So yeah, that's it. I think it's a pretty good number of garments, given that I don't like sewing for others that much. Yeah, and then I'm here planning other garments that I'll be sewing, so we'll see how they work out. But yeah, so in my next video I'm hoping to show you maybe some things that I've sewn for myself, or I'm thinking I should start sewing things for the kids, because I do have quite a number of patterns that I could use. But we'll see how the time plays out. So yeah, that's it. See you in my next video. Alright then, bye.